Hey guys, welcome back to Chef Monica's Kitchen. Guess what? It's almost sweet corn season. In fact, it isn't almost. It is sweet corn season because we got sweet corn. So I wanted to show you my favorite dish, cream corn. I did not name it this, but someone else named it Jesus corn because they had a heavenly experience eating it. So call it what you will. I'm gonna call it cream corn. I'm starting off with, this is what makes it the heavenly experience. I've got a copious amount of bacon already caramelizing down in the pan here. It's actually not copious. It's 3 slices of bacon. I chopped them up and then I'm just rendering down all the fat, and I'm going to use the fat to cook everything in. If you want to make this vegetarian, you can use olive oil instead, and that's totally fine, but bacon makes everything better. Let's be honest, right? Okay, so 3 slices of bacon. This is 6 heads of corn. Heads, ears of corn. They're called ears.
Ears.
Ears? Okay.
Ears.
I don't know what's the difference between an ear, head, whatever.
A head of cauliflower, an
shoulders,
ear
knees
of
and
corn.
toes, knees and toes. Okay, anyhow. So while I have the bacon in there, I've got 1 large onion that I chopped up that I'm going to throw in and let saute here so that it starts to soften up a little bit. I'm not really trying to caramelize this. I just want to get it so that it's starting to cook through. I didn't chop it very finely. If you want to make it finer than that, you're welcome to do so. I didn't have the patience because it's one of those days. And frankly, some
Big
days,
chunks of onion work just great.
big chunks of onion are yummy. Nothing better. Okay, so we're gonna let that go in there. And then I'm gonna talk to you about corn. Okay, so in order to get the corn off the cob, you need to cut it. If I did that right here, I'd have corn spraying everywhere. I don't like corn spray. It's a mess, it's starchy. So what I want to do is stick the corn in a bowl, and then as you slice down the ear of the corn, they go straight into the bowl. And then I want to show you, I don't know if you can see, but all around the edges you'll see some of that starch. That starch is what helps to thicken up the corn and make it even more creamy. So you want to make sure you cut as close to the ear as possible so you can get all of that starch in there. Okay, good to the last kernel. Beautiful. So that's 6 ears of corn. Now, just had a cloud come over, so I may look a little bit dark to you for a second. We're gonna go ahead and take some sliced garlic. I just left it in slices, and add that to our onions. I'm gonna give that a quick stir. Holy cow, does that smell good. Bacon is manna from heaven, from piggy heaven. That actually sounded really sad when they said it, so I shouldn't have said it that way, but bacon is manna from somewhere. Okay. I'm also going to throw in some chipotle because I want to give this a little bit of a kick. If you don't want it to be spicy, leave it out, just fine. Or you can also just chop up a jalapeno, or you can also even use some of that harissa paste that I like to use. All of those are acceptable. Something green, we're going to throw in a little bit of chopped parsley. Again, any herb you like. You could throw in some fresh chives if you had them. Dill would be yummy in here. Anything you like. Even cilantro, if you like it. Okay. Quick stir that again. And now we're going to start layering some flavor on here. Pause that. I'm going to wash my hands because I don't want to get any of that chipotle in my eyeball. I did it the other day and it wasn't so pleasant, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I no longer have chipotle hand. That's code for chipotle hand. And this has been sauteing, and the onions are now starting to kind of cook down. And if you'll notice, on the bottom, you still got some of those brown bits from the bacon and the onions and all that good stuff, which is where all the yumminess is. So we're going to season this up with a pinch of salt. You don't need that much salt because bacon is salty, so let's not overdo it there. Fresh cracked pepper. Again, not too much pepper because I put the chipotles in for the spicy. Our smoked paprika to get our sort of barbecue on. I'm going to use about a good teaspoon, about maybe even just slightly more than a teaspoon and a half. And then about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, or herb de Provence, whichever you prefer. And freshly grated nutmeg. This time we will attempt to not lose the nutmeg in the corn. Okay, just a good quarter of a teaspoon or so, freshly grated. Tap, 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 tap. Smell because it's yummy. Don't stick your nose on your rasp, you know.
On your what?
Don't stick your nose on your rasp. 'Cause
Rasp.
You don't want to cut your nose. That would be bad. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and now basically create what's called a roux. A roux is usually a fat mixed with flour. Typically you do that with butter, but in this case I have the fat from the bacon that's rendered out, and I'm adding about 2 teaspoons or so of flour to that.
That was more than 2 teaspoons.
2 heavy teaspoons. That's a half a cup measure, and it was under that, so it's
Okay.
about 2 teaspoons. I'm the chef here.
Okay, well, it just looked like way more than 2
Okay.
teaspoons.
And
Just
then we
saying.
need to go ahead and stir this and cook it for about a minute or so to make sure I cook that rawness out of the flour. Okay, we'll just say that's been about a minute or so. And now I'm going to deglaze this because I want to make sure I scrape up all those awesome yummy bits off the bottom. So I'm going to add a little bit of white wine to it. This happens to be a little leftover Moscato, so it's bubbling a tiny bit, which is all good. And then I want to cook this, scraping all those great bits off the bottom and making sure I incorporate those in. All of that is just going to make the flavor that much better. Awesome sauce. Okay, I think I got it all. Beautiful. Now, let's add in the corn. We're gonna add in all 6 ears of corn that I've taken off their cobs. And I wanna make sure if there's any of that starch on the bottom, you can kind of see how it's not clear over here. Any of that starch that's in there, I'm gonna incorporate as well, so it gives a good flavor, good corny flavor. Get it?
A corny flavor?
I want it to be corny, like I am. So I'm corny as they come. I'm corny as they come. Okay, corny's good. There. Now, let's stir that together. I'm gonna turn the heat up a tiny, tiny bit here because I want this to start to bubble a little bit. And then, this is starting to thicken up really, really, really well because of that roux. So I'm gonna add a little more liquid to it. I'm gonna add just some milk, probably about a cup or so of milk, maybe more than that. Let's do about a cup and a half of milk or so. And here's where it gets really exciting. You know my penchant for cheese. We're gonna do cheese in here because I'm a cheese something or other. So this is 2 cups of like an Italian shredded cheese blend. Use whatever kind of cheese you like. I like Parmesan. It has a nice sharp bite to it. I also like mozzarella because it melts really well. So we're gonna add all that in there. And then as all that cheese melts together with the milk and coats the corn, that, my friends, is when it becomes manna from heaven. That kind of sounded like 2001 Space Odyssey.
It's a monolith of corn.
This is more like 2020, a quarantine odyssey. All right, guys, look at that.
Quarantine odyssey?
A quarantine odyssey. This is a quarantine odyssey. There you go. Smart man. Okay, and there, take a quick look at that. Beautiful.
How long do we let it cook before we eat it?
That's it. The cheese melts. We can dive in.
All
Although
right.
Don't recommend diving in right at this moment. Otherwise, you'll need to visit to the ER. Go home and make it. It's delicious.